So moving on to my fifth test is the vertical leap. Vertical leap test. So the vertical leap was chosen because it holds a very high ecological value for my client as they play basketball, which involves using a vertical leap jump in most aspects of the sport itself. So it was important to see if he could improve this aspect of his fitness. This is very suitable for my client, obviously, as he plays basketball, and basketball requires a lot of things that are made easier if your vertical leap is higher. Stuff like rebounding, scoring close to the basket, many more things that I could talk about. But basically, if your vertical leap is higher, it makes some aspects of basketball a lot easier and can lead to advantages in a game. So it's definitely something that he'd want to improve. So the test is very suitable for my client. It's very valid as well because it's just as simple as jumping on a mat, and it records how far you've jumped. The reliability of the test is dependent on if you set it up correctly, because it's a mat with a piece of string or wire attached to your belt around your waistline. And if you don't tighten it properly, it may read incorrectly, or if you don't press the right button at the start, it may not record the result. So it is reliable if you know how to use it. It's not the most practical of tests just because it costs quite a bit of money to acquire the equipment in the first place. So only real places would be academic institutions where they have this equipment to test clients. You wouldn't be able to just it would be expensive just to buy this equipment just to test a client. So some places may have it, some places may not. This means that its practicality is a bit it's not very high. So moving on to my final component of fitness, my final test was a sit and reach test for flexibility. Flexibility test was chosen because although not holding direct ecological value to any specific skill in my client's sport, it is important for the other components of fitness that my client is flexible so he can improve his other components of fitness, such as the vertical leap and his agility. So being flexible is suitable for my client. It's a suitable test for my client because within basketball there's a lot of movements that you need to be flexible to do, otherwise you're going to cause yourself an injury or your body's not going to be able to do it. Which can lead to disadvantages within games, within training sessions, just within the sport in general. And being flexible frees up you're able to improve your other components of fitness if you're more flexible, like your vertical leap and your agility. Even your running, if you're more flexible, your muscles can cope with a higher range of movement without getting damaged. And it's proven that if you're more flexible, you can jump higher. If you stretch, you can jump higher. Stuff like this. So testing my client's flexibility and finding out if he's actually flexible is quite important. Reliability of the test, it depends on who's recording the results, because the client may, because it's quite demanding of your legs and muscles when you're reaching forwards and trying to get a score in the sit and reach box. It may mean that the person records it wrong, records the place where the client's hands were. Stuff like that. It's basically human error, so it may be a little bit off the results. Practicality is not a very practical test because the actual equipment itself is quite large, it's quite heavy. It's not too common because of its size, and you wouldn't find it outside of a sports institution. So this is my test data collection sheet. So obviously got my tests on the left here: the yo-yo test, vertical jump test, wall toss test, sit and reach test, hand grip dynamometer test, lane agility test, and we can see that on each my client scored stage 16.8 on the yo-yo test, vertical jump test. After 3 tries, he got 45 centimetres, 48 centimetres, and 49 centimetres. After the wall toss test, he got 28, 35, and 23. And these are catches, how many times you catch the ball on each arm. No, on both arms, sorry. Sit and reach test, so 24 centimetres, 25.5 centimetres, 26 centimetres. This is how far he reached on the sit and reach box. Hand grip dynamometer test, 37.8 kilograms, 42.4 kilograms, 39.8 kilograms, and lane agility test, 15.12 seconds, 14.83 seconds, 15.2 seconds after 3 tries. So the yo-yo test, my client lasted until, I believe, stage 16.8, and this put him below average. So after participating in the yo-yo test, my client scored a result that put him below average on the normative data. This means that he has a VO2 max that is below average. My recommendations for my client is to run more and regularly, taking 5 kilometre runs a couple of times a day at moderate exertion, and this means that his fitness will start to increase as a starting point. I'll touch on this later in more detail because this is something that he needs to improve on for his basketball. So, standing vertical jump, Takai Jump Mat is the brand that makes the jump equipment. So, after 3 attempts, my client scored 45 centimetres, 48 centimetres, and 49 centimetres. After 3 tests, the client scored a high of 49, which means, according to my normative data, he is at the high end of the average range for a male. My recommendation is that the vertical leap is a component that is constantly being used in basketball, so I recommend training his legs. Simple exercises such as calf raises, lunges, and squats can increase leg strength and the client's vertical leap. So the wall toss test. Client results. After 3 attempts, my client scored 28, 35, and 23 catches. As we can see, my client's higher score meant that he was well above average and 1 catch away from being excellent. This was his best score, but when looking at his other scores, we see that he is in the average and poor level, so his coordination could be improved. Lane agility test. My client's results were 15.12 seconds, 14.83 seconds, 15.2 seconds. We can see that my client scored way below average for this test for his position of centre in basketball, meaning his agility needs to improve greatly. And for my final test, the sit and reach test, he scored 24 centimetres, 25.5 centimetres, and 26 centimetres. As we can see, my client got an excellent score in all 3 of his tests when carrying out the sit and reach test. This means that he has good flexibility, and it's not something that he needs to work on straight away. It's not a priority. One more. My hand grip dynamometer test. He scored 37.8 kilograms, 42.4 kilograms, 39.8 kilograms. As we can see, my client's results showed he is very poor in this component of fitness. On all 3 attempts, he either scored poor or very poor, showing that this is something that needs improving. So now moving on to my detailed recommendations. My client got a very low score when taking the hand grip dynamometer test, which tested for strength. In comparison to the normative data, it showed he was below average and was in the poor and very poor portion of the normative data. For my client, sport strength is important, especially for someone of his position, where he will be going against the other team's strongest and biggest players, meaning he needs to be strong to have a chance of competing. Although the hand grip test does not show his overall strength, his poor results suggested that he does need to improve this component of fitness. My recommendation to improve his overall body strength is to join a gym and dedicate days where he will make a routine out of it. At the gym, he should focus on lifting heavy weights more frequently. He should also focus on different parts of the body and create a routine with the help of a PT, personal trainer, or a fitness instructor. By lifting weights and increasing his strength in multiple parts of the body, it will mean he'll be able to compete at a high level, and his overall strength, it will help him with other aspects in basketball, make everything easier. So, agility recommendations. As we saw in his lane agility test, my client scored well below average for his position, meaning that this is an area he needs to improve on. It is important he improves this component of fitness as it holds high ecological value to the sport he plays, which is basketball, as elite level players will need to have fast and good footwork. And if my client does not have as good a footwork as them, he will not be able to compete against them. My recommendations for the client to improve his agility is in fact improve his balance. This is because balance is key to keeping stable and performing exercise and sports which require you to be agile. There are many different exercises that can be done quickly at home so that he does not have to take time out of his schedule to complete these activities. They do not require any equipment either, so they are easy to carry out. These exercises include sumo squat, standing crunch, curtsy lunge, plank and T-stand, but there are many more just like these. I recommend that the client carry out these exercises every day or possibly twice a day if he can fit it into his schedule. Aerobic capacity recommendations. One of my client's weakest was his aerobic capacity. I found this when my client carried out the yo-yo test. This test finds their VO2 max and my client's results were below average. To increase his aerobic capacity and VO2 max, I suggest that the client starts to regularly exercise outside of the sport that they play. This is because although they are active, it does not seem like they are doing enough physical activity to stay fit, and therefore need to carry out more exercises to increase their fitness. My recommendations for the client is that they take out 1 hour of their day to run a 5 kilometre run every day, or as many days in a week as possible. The client should record their time if they can, and should be working at a moderate exertion level so that they are pushing themselves. Once they find out their average time, they should aim to beat it and beat their personal best. Doing this can act as motivation so the client can see their improvement. Once 5 kilometres becomes too easy for them, they can do longer runs if they have time in their day to. Alongside their other physical activities, this will increase their aerobic capacity and therefore make them basketball and any sport he participates in more enjoyable, more easy to keep up with.